This panel is going to be about how corporations can really benefit from working with startups, different ways of leading and to different goals. I'm sorry, it is the last panel of the day. Right. And the moderator of this panel is Maciej Sadowski. And on this panel, we will welcome Ruthy Kaidar again. Then Ken Coyne, head of tech from OpsTalent, and Omar Christidis, the CEO of Arabnet.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm super happy to see you. It's a little bit virtual for us to see you, but it's super actual for you to see us. We are here on the panel about how corporations can really, genuinely work and benefit from working with startups. And first of all, I want to thank all of you who appeared on this session, on this panel, that you found time and found this new channel sexy and interesting, since we are all locked down in certain way in our homes, and this is the only way to work together. But I'm very happy that you guys, you the audience, will have chance to listen to three great guests who already have been introduced. But I also want to briefly just tell you that with us there is Ruthy Kaidar from the company called Microsoft. Some of you might be familiar with this brand. Ken Coyne and Omar Christidis. Ken is working from Poland and interested in Poland, in Polish tech scene, whereas Omar is an influencer and a leader of Arabic ecosystem. I'm not sure if you can hear all of us, so for the beginning, just a quick technical test for our crew of Wolf Summit, the great organizer of this event. So can every one of you say hi? So we can check if the audio is working. Ruthy?
Hi, how are you, everybody? Very great to be here.
On behalf of the audience, I'm shouting and screaming, yeah, great. Ken, your turn.
Me, is it? Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. And Omar.
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here with you.
All right. Yeah, great to see you here. All right, guys. So first of all, I want to say that Wolf Summit does not surprise us with the fact that it has always very international guests from different geographies, from different experience, different backgrounds. So I'm very happy that I will have the privilege to host this panel and to help you and audience communicate a little bit better and touch points that are quite important for our community here in Poland, but also in the region and worldwide. The problem that brought us here to talk about is, among all different kinds of cooperation between cooperation between corporations and startups. There are many formats that actually meant to be super nice, super sexy, but they've never brought any interesting fruits, neither for corporations nor for startups. The first question would be, what is, in your opinion, the most vital goal for big corporations? By big corporations, I mean something like Microsoft, but generally speaking, the leaders of our digital sphere. That's the most important goal, the most important benefit from derived from working with startups. Can we say there is really one important, or it's a field of benefits that corporation can have from dealing with startups? And I will, of course, start with Ruthy, not only because you are from Microsoft, but also because you are already a veteran of Wolf Summits. We and the audience remember you from previous editions.
Thank you very much, Maciej. I really appreciate it. So I think, it's a mutual value that we talk about. It's not only what value do startups bring a corporation, it's, and especially at Microsoft, it's really about what value a corporation could bring to startups. And for us, at least, it's about a partnership. So we believe in partnering with startups, because if startups build their solutions on Microsoft platforms, then together we can take that product and help startups reach customers. Because most likely any customer a startup wants to reach is a Microsoft customer. And the idea is, why don't we help in this partnership? Why don't we help startups reach end customers and grow their business and help them scale worldwide? So that's really the idea. The value for corporations is really, that they get innovative solutions on our cloud to bring to our end customers. So it's a win-win.
All right, but also we read here and there from time to time, season to season, that Microsoft also makes some interesting M&As with startups, or used to be startups. So is it possible also as a startup for startuppers to appear on your radar? I mean, you're the corporate radar, not only your units, Ruthy. You are responsible for the whole region, but generally in Microsoft, and through the cloud performance become an interesting lead for your M&A unit?
Absolutely. The beautiful thing about Microsoft is that it's a very flat organization, and a lot of product groups are, who build their own solutions often seek innovative solutions that are usually found at startups to enhance the product. So a lot of our product groups, so M&As is actually something that's across the company. It's not like one unit that does M&As. But we acquire a lot of startups all over the world all the time. It's something that's ongoing, and it's usually either if we go after a strategic, acquisition that we want to, that we plan for many years, like LinkedIn, GitHub, and so forth, or smaller startups that we see as enhancing products, and we have plenty of those. Like even SwiftKey is an example, right? The
Very good example.
As the keyboard writing enhancement, that's a startup we bought in London, so in UK. So there's many of those. Like a lot of this of the solutions we have in our products is actually through M&As, because the product teams feel that they can develop faster by M&As. So that happens a lot.
Great. And before we jump to Ken, I want to have just a brief question. Maybe you can answer very briefly as well. Ruthy, can you tell us some numbers about the cloud? So how many startups can we encounter on your cloud already? Like just, brackets.
Yeah.
And more like...
I mean, it's hard to say numbers. There's
it's already crowded. It's fairly crowded already.
Yeah, there's like really a lot of startups on our cloud. I can tell you that most of the Fortune 500 customers are on our cloud, and then what we see is a lot of our startups, who want to work with these or sell to these Fortune 500 companies, also want to use the cloud in order to sell to them, which makes it a little bit more makes it easier. I would say that way. But we have so many startups all over the world on our cloud. Yeah.
And thank you for this testimony, for this insight. We also have an insider who can give us a little bit light from different angle. Ken, I'm referring to you. You professionally work on giving the best information for your clients, for your partners, about what's hot and what's spectacular in Polish tech scene. Can you give us some ideas or tell us about models that you find particularly operational in cooperation between corporates and startups, or maybe some bad examples, something that failed? Of course, without names, we don't want to disencourage any startups from working with any corporations. Just we want to understand what is necessary for this cooperation to be successful and to be profitable.
Well, I think what works really well is this whole idea of the accelerator program, where these corporates invest in accelerators. They're giving mentors, they're giving money, they're providing facilities, operation for these startups to get involved in, give them a period of time over 3 to 6 months where startups can come on the campus, build proof of concepts, learn, and work together and build out new technology, new offerings, new products, whatever the case may be. I think that's a fantastic value add. Also, I found, like, for example, in London, because I do a lot of work with London and the whole Irish tech scene, places like Level 39, which is an incubator hub, originally focused on the whole area of fintech. So what you had is you had a mix of startups, but you also had a mix of the big corporates like UBS, for example. So they'd come together in one place, but it was not on the corporate facility. It was actually an independent, separate facility. And they would work together on different ideas and different innovations. And that has worked really well. Now, for example, Revolut has come out of Level 39. which is a huge success story. TransferWise has come out of level 39, which is another fantastic success story in the whole fintech space. But it's working together, but they're independent of each other. When I look at the downside of things, working in the corporate environment, it can be challenging. It all depends on the goal of what that corporate is looking to achieve and what they're going to invest in this. I mean, if they're only looking to, get access to this talent and take advantage of this talent, and they don't care about, what the actual company or what's being developed and push it out to the big picture, then that definitely can be a negative aspect, I find, in my experience. Often they have their own goal is that they only want to solve their own problems. So they force these startups to work on the problems they have and build products specifically related to the problems they have, rather than looking at what the real problem is and focusing on specifics. I think that's a big challenge also in that regard. And then that kind of a negative impact, because that's like having a project within the company itself, not bringing that internal experience.
Yeah, and Ken, one supplemental question to what you have already said is acceleration formats, acceleration frameworks is something that you can easily, as a corporation, you can start with and, let's say, play and make first steps in this dance with startups. Can you say from your experience, is it more efficient for a given corporation to set up its own acceleration program, which is not like a rocket science? Of course, and probably you will not be the best accelerator in Europe from the day one, but you can. I think every corporation has some initial capacities to run their own programs, or it's better to join an existing brand, existing accelerator, and work with another corporations, let's say from another verticals. Yeah, so inside or outside?
My preference would be, I think the best solution would be outside, I believe.
Outside.
Just like that level 39 example, because you don't have that interference and the internal interference of politics or what's happening or specifically, direction that company is driving. Whereas if it's outside, their investment, it's external parties, it's more fair, I think, and companies can operate in a more open environment. That's the way I feel about this.
And do you think, I promised to go to Omar right now, but maybe one-liner from here from my side. But don't you think that the officers from given corporations are more serious and more determined to really work with startups if they work inside of their own corporation accelerator? Like, they don't treat it as a optional game. Like, okay, today I have some mentoring hours meeting with my startups. Okay, let it be. And if it's if it's supervised by the corporate boss, they are really here and they are working 100% efficient.
Again, I think that goes back to that corporate and what they're looking to achieve and that strategy. I think in general, people, like Ruthy gave his talk earlier about Microsoft and getting involved and just loving being involved in the whole startup and helping out as much as possible. But if you have corporates that are looking just for branding and PR, which is often the case, then they don't care about the big picture. They're only looking to get access to talent and just take ideas and just put it on their own model, not looking at the big picture and just pushing out further and actually developing the ecosystem in terms of startup environment. That would be my side.
Thank you, Ken, very much. Omar, 15 years ago in Poland, not probably 1% of the tech industry have been familiar with the word startup. 10 years ago, not many people knew what accelerator is. I want to say that Poland, although it's blooming and it's growing, this ecosystem here in Central Eastern Europe is growing up beautifully. There are still lots of new trends that we want to accommodate and get familiar with. From your perspective, from perspective of very different region, what are the most dynamic frameworks or most dynamic vehicles for this legendary cooperation between startup founders and big industry that really works efficiently? Can you highlight some examples, maybe?
Yeah, sure. So look, we work with startups and corporates to help bridge this gap, and we've seen companies that are looking for PR, and that's not a bad thing, right? Creating buzz, building a rich environment, doing hackathons, capacity building activities, those all are part of a rich ecosystem. But for every objective, there should be tools, right? So if you have an objective it is really focused on PR, then you should do maybe events and activities. If you want to have a more direct commercial collaboration, then you're going to need maybe to take a bigger stake or more into the processes. So I wanted to just step back a little bit and say, if we look at this corporate startup question initially, and my feeling is the same as yours, with that most of them have not borne fruit. And so you ask why. You say first, initially, there's this natural synergy. The startups, they're nimble, they take risks, they can come up with new innovations quickly. Startups, well, on the other hand, they have resources, they have reach, they have the regulatory mandate to be able to operate in certain markets like fintech or health tech, and those two should work together very, very well. You dig and you find actually that neither are equipped for this collaboration effectively, right? On the startup side, sometimes the tech is not robust enough. This is what I hear from clients directly. Tech is not robust enough to be integrated. We haven't seen how your company will work at scale. How am I going to open you up to thousands of customers when I haven't seen what your system will hold under scale? So they're also looking for companies that understand ROI. Large corporates have P&Ls, they have business leaders, they have to show direct return on investment for their time. And so from that perspective, oftentimes founders come in so excited about their product and less clear how that's going to translate into direct business impact for the company. On the other hand, from the corporate, you've got companies that want to engage with startups, even at the highest level, but have not put in place the right processes and people in order to do this effectively.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you put it, we were asking Ken earlier about whether you put it outside the corporation or inside the corporation. It's less important than, are there dedicated resources success here? Do they have some independence in decision making? Do they have budget to be able to follow through with projects? And who do they report to? Do they have the staff and resources to be able to activate activities? And so if you make sure that the people and processes are in place, I think that's really the critical thing for success on the corporate side.
All right. I have very I'm very sensitive for the body language, and I saw in the body language of Ruthy that she's very much in line with what you have said, Omar. Ruthy?
Absolutely. I mean, I hear you, Omar, because I've worked with so many startups throughout the years, and you put a startup in front of, like, they're begging you to get a connection with Bank of America, and they're pitching it to them, and then they're like, you realize that, wow, they don't know how to pitch, and they don't have answers to how they're going to deploy, how they're going to scale from 100 to 1,000 customers or users. And they don't think always about, the whole kind of, like, what does it mean to sell and to work with an enterprise or a big commercial customer. And we learned the hard way, but really the way we've done it is, like, we really need to make sure that startups are what we call enterprise ready, that they prove, first of all, that they've sold to another commercial customer or an enterprise. And then that means, okay, then that shows, or maybe more than one. And then that we can, they show that we can take them to other customers, or that they have the team in place, like you mentioned, that they have the funding in place to make sure that they do have a sales team if suddenly their business booms. So it's really about thinking long-term rather than opportunistic. I think that's the startups that really you can build a good partnership and a good collaboration with. So I absolutely agree. Thanks.
And I would say on the enterprise side, you have to be startup ready as well. In the same way that you mentioned, a startup needs to be enterprise ready. The startup has the right people in place, has clear expedited decision making. It's not going to be 12 months to make a decision about a corporate collaboration with a company. That company will be dead by then. So can you move quickly? Do you have clear people and processes?
I think that's where the mentoring as well is key, Omar and Ruthy, like you said, guiding, helping these startups along the way, because a lot of them are missing this, resourcing and sales. Some are very technically strong. They have no idea to sell, or, vice versa, and that's where they need support. And I think, but I know there is definitely negatives here, there's no doubt about it, but I think they need each other, because these startups, they need money, they need investment, they need these type of mentoring, they need to learn the system, understand how to work in that system. On the corporate side, they need new technology, they need to be aware, because they've lost out a lot in terms of big startups over the years, especially in the fintech space. A lot of the banks are suffering now because of this. So they have to invest in it. They've no choice. They have to invest in these guys, and they have to learn from those experiences and see how they can make it work.
I really like what you
maybe
said, Ken. I think just a sentence. I think it's all about. Go ahead.
Right.
No, we touched the base, so this is the most important element of this discussion, of course. Ruthy,
yeah, I wanted to say if there's something as a role for us ecosystem players to do.
We lost Omar for a second. Yeah. There is a little bit of a lag, Omar, on your line. Yes.
Language.
Maybe turn off the video.
Omar, sorry, it's not that I'm not interested in how the story ends, but I need to stop you here and go back to Ruthy. Maybe the line will re-established again, and we will have a better line with you. But Ruthy, we have probably 3 minutes to go. I want to ask you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Honestly, on behalf of the audience, on behalf of the Wolf Summit community, to give us those points what startups should have to go to the right path working with big corporations. It's really super important, and I think this information is still missing, and lots of startups are just blindly looking for their chances without a clue how to do it correctly. How big corporations are actively looking for new sources of startups? I know that for legendary brands it's easy because everybody knows Microsoft and it's easy to access them. But I'm also asking you, Ruthy, as a representative of a very big and well-recognized corporation, do you have any advices for Polish colleagues, for Polish businesses that are already leaders of different niches, of different verticals in Poland, but and they want to start working with startups? How to start?
Bring value. 2 words, bring value. When you bring value and you show the value that you bring to startups, they'll come. It's all about bringing value. It's not about selling. It's not about promoting. Startups need a lot of help. And I think Ken hit it, that we are here to really help them, not just wait until they're ready, right? But really help them be ready. And if we bring value of what, we're good at, then that's, startups are going to come, and they should come when they get value, honestly.
Omar, we have one liner really for the end. Tell us how to bring. Okay, I think we still have you online. Ken, then the last word belongs to you. Please tell us what is the first step for Polish corporations to start working with startups for their best benefits? Really, really shortly.
Okay. What is the first step? Oh God. Well, I would say maybe look at. Obviously, you need to work in the startup scene. Work with partners. I think is the best thing. Actually, I find partners work really well for us. So, like a startup, there's a lot of different startup groups out there who have already got successful accelerator programs in place, processes in place that you can join quite quickly, get involved in, learn from them, invest in them, and then maybe you can go and set up your own independent one. But I would suggest starting with a